The following BLTV program is brought to you by O'Flaherty Law. Please enjoy.
Welcome to Learn About Law. My name is Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law, and today we're going to talk about mutually beneficial prenuptial agreements. A lot of people, when they think about a prenuptial agreement, think about a wealthy person that wants to protect their assets in the event of divorce. And prenuptial agreements can do a lot more than that, and there's a lot of situations where a prenuptial agreement is good for both sides to enter into. And we'll talk about some of those situations. So first, let's talk about prenups for second marriages. So when you're in a second marriage and each spouse has children of their own from the first marriage, whether those children are young or adults, a prenup can be used to protect the inheritances of everyone involved. The worry is that when the first spouse passes away, the second spouse to survive is going to inherit all of the first spouse's assets. And then those assets are going to go to the second spouse's children when the second spouse to pass away passes away. And that means that the first spouse who passed away, their children will get nothing. And that's what will happen according to state statute. Unless you have a prenuptial agreement that provides for who's going to inherit property when the second spouse passes away. You agree ahead of time that how each party's children are going to be taken care of. And that's a great mutually beneficial use for a prenup that both parties find acceptable at the outset. If you're a business owner, your spouse may not want to run your business when you pass away, and your partners might not want to partner with that spouse. So you can work out between your partners and your spouse how your spouse will be extricated from the business. Another thing you might want to consider is if you're a business owner in a mixed marriage and you have children that you want to continue to run the business, you might not want your spouse to be able to just sell the business before it gets to your children. So you can provide for how the business assets will be handled and who's going to run the business. It might be one of your children running the business while the spouse still has an interest in the business. But you can get very creative in this scenario, but you can provide for how business assets will be handled if you pass away during the marriage or become mentally incompetent. Importantly, and this is good for everybody, it allows you to resolve financial issues in advance while everyone is in a good mood and while those issues have not yet arisen. So you can talk and assess each of your values on how you handle money. Everyone has a very different relationship with money. A prenup is a good excuse to discuss how you're going to handle income, expenses, investments, and debts during the marriage. And if you can even just reduce this to writing, it can cut down on disputes that might lead to problems in the marriage once those issues become acute. A lot of divorces are caused by the parties disagreeing about money. If you can come up with an agreement ahead of time and an understanding and at least open that dialogue, then it might head off a lot of problems later on. So there's a lot of clauses that can be included in a prenup, even if none of those three things we've talked about apply to you. And we'll talk about some of these. And not all are good fits for everybody, but they might be a good fit for you and your potential spouse. One basic one is a description of each spouse's individual property that's not going to become marital property. It's going to be kept separate and won't be divided in the event of a divorce. This might include future inheritances or future gifts that the spouses expect to receive. Another is if one spouse has a lot of debt prior to entering the marriage, how is that debt going to be serviced? How is it going to be paid off? Is that going to come from that spouse's individual separate property? Is it going to come from marital property? But you can talk about how premarital and postmarital debt is going to be resolved in your prenuptial agreement. There's something called a surviving spouses award in Illinois where a surviving spouse, even if they're not left anything in a will, is able to basically claim a certain amount of the estate of the deceased spouse. And it's, again, especially in mixed marriages where you're mostly looking to protect each of your children and their inheritances, you may want to waive this surviving spouses award. You can have both parties waive the surviving spouses award so neither party will be able to take a big chunk of the estate if you want your assets to go to your children. You can also deal with how taxes will be handled during the marriage. This is often the case if one party has a lot of separate assets or is earning an income separately from those assets, and you want those assets to be used to service the taxes that are going to be required on those assets. But you may want to discuss where the money to pay taxes is going to come from. Finally, we've talked about this already, but you can talk about who will inherit the couple's property when the second to pass away passes away and how that's going to be handled. And really, a prenup can be used to resolve almost any issue. There's very little limitation on what you can do with it. So anything that you need to iron out and agree upon before the marriage can be done with a prenup. And anything that we've talked about here can also be handled with a postnuptial agreement. That means something that's an agreement between spouses that occurs after the marriage. There's no rule that a prenuptial agreement or the things that are covered in a prenuptial agreement has to happen before the marriage. It's just called the prenup if it happens before the marriage, and a postnuptial agreement if it happens after the marriage. So if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments section below this post at learn-about-law.com or below the video on our YouTube station. If you need some help and are looking to hire an attorney, give us a call at 630-324-6666. That's 630-324-6666. We have free consultations in many areas of law, and we have offices all around Chicagoland for your convenience. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to us on YouTube, Apple Music, or SoundCloud, or you can subscribe to our email list at learn-about-law.com, and you'll be notified of our daily article and video posts. Thank you so much for watching and listening.
Thanks so much for watching our video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Click the subscribe button for new videos every week, and download and review us on iTunes. Visit learn-about-law.com for other legal-related articles and videos. Visit our business podcast and video blog, seizeyourbusiness.com, and visit Making Real Estate Fun for real estate videos and podcasts. Call us at 630-324-6666 for a free consultation.